Graduated percentage of spend is very similar to a fixed percentage of spend, but it's a fixed percentage of spend where a percentage decreases as budget scales. And it's just a little bit of a twist on the previous system. So guidelines for graduated percentage billing: have clear brackets going into the relationship. Make sure you create brackets. And when I say by a bracket, I mean a minimum amount and a maximum amount. So for example, if you're spending between $10,000 and $15,000 a month, your fixed fee is 12%. If you're spending between $15,000 and $25,000 a month, your fixed percentage goes down 9% or whatever it is. So even if you feel like this client will never spend more than 50 grand a month, create a bracket up to 200 grand a month. This was like a really great trick that I learned a while ago. It shows the client that you know how to dream, and it also helps avoid renegotiations later on. So clients want to see like, wow, like you think we could actually get to 200 grand and spend? Great. It just makes them excited. It makes them feel that you're excited about their business and that you even potentially believe more in their potential for success than they do, which is great. It also helps you avoid renegotiations. Remember, the theme is that you really want to talk about money being paid to you as little as possible. So if you have enough brackets, and you might as well just add those brackets in early on, you don't have to renegotiate or go back to the drawing board or open up the proposals if the client actually does exceed the last bracket you've set up. Brackets should be wide enough to make the graduated spend concept worthwhile. Like, one of the biggest advantages of brackets is that moving the budget up a little bit doesn't increase what you're paying me, and moving the budget down a little bit doesn't decrease what you're paying me. So make sure they're wide enough. I typically will do a minimum of a $5,000 bracket, but I'll usually do like $10,000 a month brackets. But if you're dealing with primarily smaller clients, which is fine, do a $3,000 to $5,000 a month bracket. You create a fail-safe mechanism where the management fee at the low end of a new bracket can't be lower than the maximum management fee at the higher bracket. And I know that might sound confusing, but I have a template built out calculator for you, and I'll show you exactly what that means in a second. And you have the link to that template down below. The pros of the graduated percentage of spend. So the client is incentivized to increase spend because as spend increases, they pay you a lower percentage. So it's like sort of a reward for the client when they increase spend. They don't have to pay you a proportionate percentage of total spend. Here's the real advantage. It helps with retention because often when a client scales budget, it results in a lower return on ad spend. Like, a lot of times, if you're going to scale budget in a Google Ads campaign, you're not going to be bidding anymore on just the lowest hanging fruit, bottom of the funnel keywords. Like, if you're going to start expanding a spend, let's say the client's ROAS in phase one of the relationship was 4x spend, and you're going to move into additional territory where they'll still be profitable at 2x spend, but not as profitable. So if you're charging them the same percentage of spend, it might create a little bit of tension in the relationship. But if you're lowering ROAS and you're lowering the percentage of what you're billing them, it really helps to alleviate that tension. And that's the way you pitch it when you're talking about these brackets. You're saying, like, listen, like, we understand that oftentimes if we're going to really get aggressive and we're going to explore new territory and we're going to do some research and development and trying to find new ideas, and we might be risking a greater percentage of the budget on explored, untapped opportunities. We understand that your return on ad spend is likely to be less, although probably still profitable. So to help make that a possibility and to help make it more likely that we could scale this campaign and grow your business, we're going to charge you a lower percentage of spend as your spend scales. So it's a really, really good system. More flexibility in negotiating fees. So when you're putting together these brackets, if you're doing just a fixed percentage of spend, 15% of total spend, and the client says, nope, I want 10% of total spend. And you're okay, fine. So you have to, but you're negotiating on everything. But in this instance where you have multiple percentages, the client says, you're charging me today 12% of total spend. If we go into the next bracket, it goes down to 11%. Could we start at 11% and go down to 9% in the next bracket? So you could negotiate back and say, you know what? Let's start at 11% where you are today. And if you increase, instead of going down to 10 or 9%, we're going to drop you down to 8%, right? So you have so much more levers you could push and pull when negotiating fees if you have multiple different fees that you can negotiate. So which is a pretty cool advantage of this system. So again, some of the downsides of a graduated percentage of spend: it's very hard to build at the start of the month. The fee goes down with a decrease in budget. That is an actual disadvantage. It's not an obvious one because I do think it helps with retention. Same thing as before, you can't anticipate the exact amount that you're going to receive, and the client can't anticipate the exact amount that they're going to be charged. Again, clients might suspect ulterior motives with budget increase suggestions, and clients may be hesitant to suggest increase in budget. But if you make your brackets wide enough, right, where there's padding, that's a little bit less likely to happen here. But still, because it's a percentage-based system, every dollar increase in budget does increase the total amount the client's going to pay you, and every dollar decreased in budget does decrease the total fee because it's still working on a percentage-based system.